Hello, welcome to Deus Malleus channel. I'm here today. This is my first video, and I'm gonna make some commentary about Danny Jones on underground bases. So check this out.
Gators of all time wrote status reports 1 through 7 on UFO crash retrievals. RK claimed that in 72 at the Great Lakes Naval Station in Chicago, he was tasked to kind of deliver orders, deliver a message to, a commanding officer. So as he goes to deliver to the commanding officer, he passes into a Quonset style hut on the premises.
What kind of background this guy got? It looks like an old CRT screen. It's like an old NASA place. I don't know.
And in there is a large metallic teardrop shaped craft. No visible means of propulsion. Looks like a teardrop, looks like a perfect mix between a teardrop and an egg.
Teardrop and an egg. That sounds exactly like Flight of the Navigator. You familiar with this? It's nothing new. So what did they know back in 1986? It's a Disney movie. And they're talking about these generals have seen these things.
Very smooth, one color, and so forth. But here's what's interesting. He then meets a guy that was stationed in San Diego in the Navy. And this Navy guy said that he knew about that craft that was brought down and that it was brought down by a naval destroyer and recovered by the Glomar Explorer north of Hawaii in 1972.
Wow. See, 1972. So Flight of the Navigator was 1986. So is Flight of the Navigator fiction or based on nonfiction turned into fiction? But evidently, I think they knew about these craft.
So much ocean, man. It would be impossible to explore all that.
Click,
We've
clack,
explored more of the moon than we
pop
have of
the
our own
can.
ocean floors. It's crazy. And if you look at, we were talking about this with Richard Dolan too. Like you can literally turn the globe. If you look at the Pacific Ocean, you can see there's a
We're
no
down
fucking
on
land.
the Pacific.
It covers up more.
It's huge.
It's like a massive amount of this Earth is ocean.
So what's interesting about the creation of Neuro, the Deep Submergent Systems Project, and all this in 1964, it seems like Sand Dollar had existed previously.
So I got information about a possible base over on BC from that Richard Dolan episode of Deep Underwater, Deep Underground Bases, where he's shown pictures from a Navy article in 1964 that shows a possible design for the base that we know is around here. It's been around here since 1966. I'll have more information about that soon. I have a lot of it, but I want to figure out how to present it on the screen. That base is called the News Facility. It is a undersea torpedo weapons test facility with a certain area blocked off like Area 51, but it's in the ocean.
With an itemized inventory of everything that existed on the seafloor of national security interest. But until Craven created the DSSP following Sand Dollar, and then Neuro was created, there was no way the Navy could retrieve these items.
I want to find out.
So it seems like the U.S. Navy
is.
had a large itemized inventory of all of these objects on the seafloor. But until Craven drastically increased the depths at which the Navy could conduct engineering operations and retrieval operations, those just sat there.
Now, what do you know about that base in the Bahamas that Jesse was talking
Autech.
about?
Oh, Altec?
Autech, yeah. Is that
So here's the thing: is Autech and the News Facility are under the same program. When I found that out, I realized that we're sitting on the Area 52 of the ocean up here, because it's a American nuclear submarine refueling or rearming facility, as well as the quote unquote top secret torpedo testing facility. It says that there's a bunch of underwater acoustic devices, but who knows what they're really listening to in that region. There have been reports of black triangles from that area traveling along south on the BC coast. So between Nanoose and Washington, where there's a huge naval facility there, also, that's where the black triangle UFOs are spotted.
Things still operational? Are they still doing work there?
I'm not sure actually, but that brings up the point of like underwater bases, right?
Yeah.
There's
Yeah,
a
Nanoose.
there's a great author. His name's Richard Sauter. He has a book called Underground and Undersea Bases, where he talks about possible undersea bases worldwide, which is really interesting.
It's
and of course,
undersea,
it's very likely that there are like undersea neuro bases for.
but dug like a mine because the mountain can hold the pressure of the water and they just suck the water out. They only have to secure the end. Unlike a dome, which wouldn't work because the pressure from the water would crush the dome. But a underground underwater facility is very likely doable, as was stated in 1962.
Some marine refueling and such, but
Ooh.
Marine refueling, which is in the news.
I mean, the concept of undersea bases is interesting because already underground bases is incredibly intriguing.
The question about undersea bases is how do you power them?
The logistics sound like a nightmare.
Yeah.
At least for
It seems like optimal though, right?
Yeah, for cooling, especially if you have some sort of high temperature reactor. I mean,
Right.
in the 1960s, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers published a bunch of deep basing studies on where to place deep underground military bases throughout the continental United States, but also published a ton of
Canada.
papers such as like self-contained nuclear reactors to power STIFs, subterranean facilities, and so forth.
Wow.
So there's
Yep.
signs in this region that say we are no longer a nuclear weapons area. It says there are no more nuclear weapons in this area when you come into our town. Weird, because Nanoose is like 30 kilometers away.
That's one of the things that Catherine was saying, that a lot of the missing money she thinks has been going to funding these constructions of these underground bases.
Yeah. That's, I think, one of the most interesting topics in this subject because, you know, I've done a project on directly relating those to UFO programs and craft and materials being stored underground. And I have a friend who was former Army Public Affairs. This was about 2010 to 2013 area. And he relayed to me that he traveled between a STIF, a subterranean facility, as they call them, under Fort Bliss, Texas, and White Sands New Missile Range. And he traveled between these locations via train.
What?
And he said that the train went so fast it reminded him of his fear of flying.
Well, this is what
my
the
God.
RAND
Because
CEO
a lot of
talked
people will
about
look
in
at the kind
Popular
of underground
Mechanics
bases, systems, and
1974.
connective tunnels and scoff at it a little bit because it's a logistic
I'm
and
going to
engineering
do an
nightmare, right?
episode about
But you know, I digress
Calgary.
back in the
I believe Calgary has a similar facility. The whole region along 16th Avenue from UFC, North Hill Mall, the Stampeder Stadium, the Jubilee. I get information that there's probably something there. It's right, the C train runs right through there, which is already an underground train. 16th Avenue is Highway 1, which is
1970s.
okay, kitty, which is where the main highway, which is probably where they would have transported tanks and shit across Canada, if not the train. But the train and the highway are just open targets, so why not put the train under the ground, up under or near Highway 1, which runs across Canada, which runs right under Highway, 16th Avenue, Highway 1 in Calgary.
RAND Corporation, which is known as a Federally Funded Research and Development Center, FFRDC, One of the employees, high up scientists of the RAND Corporation, published something called the VHST, the Very High Speed Transit System, which was a massive underground train system that would connect New York to Los Angeles and basically be a massive underground tunnel system. And of course, if these tunnel systems exist, I think it's highly likely we got some of that technology and ideas from the Nazis.
Yeah.
Before the end of World War II, there was a system called the Rohrbahn by some German scientists, which was a pneumatic train system to exist under Germany and to connect Berlin to France or Paris, and a network of underground train systems to go at incredible speeds.
This was a concept?
Yeah. But here's what's not a concept that's really interesting. So Xavier Dorsch was head of the TOT organization in Nazi Germany. The TOT organization had created the Autobahn, that famous German highway with endless speeds. And at this time, Hans Kammler and various really nasty Nazi scientists were using underground locations for aircraft manufacturing and so forth for contractors, but as well as continuity of government sites such as the Regen-Wormlager in Poland and Ohrdruf, which are really, really crazy advanced underground locations that I think it was Ohrdruf even had like its own underground rail system connecting it. It was self-contained. And so Xavier Dorsch was one of these whiz kid engineers for the TOT organization, which is similar to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. In 1947, with Operation Paperclip, where the U.S. brought over a bunch of Nazi scientists, there was one report from Air Material Command that requested Xavier Dorsch specifically, as well as 3 other German Nazi technicians, for underground plant construction. So I think immediately after post-World War II is when underground or facilities or STIFs immediately began construction, because we plucked some of the Nazis' best and brightest who had created such intricate structures under Germany to come work for us.
Yeah. And if that stuff does exist, if they are spending money on all this crazy stuff, and they have all these secret programs to recover crafts and to build underground highways and
underground highway.
That would explain where a lot of that money is going that Catherine Fitz was talking about, those trillions of dollars.
It's not cheap, right?
No, it's definitely not cheap. And the other question is who's in charge of it?
Yeah.
Who has control over all of it?
Analyzing the structure of the supposed UFO legacy programs is so difficult to track, right? If there are programs, which of course I believe very strongly there are.
Another way to
there are DoD
keep it hidden is do it in Canada.
Affiliated research center programs that deal with the exploitation, recovery, and reverse engineering of non-human technologies.
Americans
How are these programs structured?
FOIA Canada.
What sort of communication is done across the programs? How are the intelligence communities involved? And at the top of this, who is pulling the strings? Because it's not like this is a above board Air Force project, above board Navy project, not like a CIA.
Wouldn't it make sense to put a train from USA to the Arctic and unload troops? It's not undefended, or is it?
Project. All of this is inherently born within SAP's and USAP's unacknowledged special access programs, which Congress and even the executive branch to a certain degree doesn't need to be read in. You have to have a need to know to access these things.
Right. Yeah, that's what Stephen Greer was explaining to me. He was explaining to me how these top Joint Chiefs of Staff people can't even get access to some of this stuff, and and the way he was describing it to me is imagine if Lockheed or one of these companies like this got so much technology that advanced so much after getting all this black budget that they've basically gone off the rails so far to where they have more power than every foreign and domestic military combined, to where they're kind of like a breakaway military superpower that doesn't have to answer to anybody.
If, like Catherine Austin Fitz says, if there is some sort of segment existing within the U.S. military intelligence that has a secret space program, they have the asymmetric advantage in every single warfighter capability. If somebody has ARV, alien reproduction vehicles, which I believe they do, of course, they have a tremendous amount of advantages over any traditional human military.
Well, there you have it, folks. So for now, I'm going to shut this down and continue editing, and we'll see how this goes. Deus Malleus out.